Every day, a truth is revealed.
A giant statue made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay. A 2,600-year-old dream that predicted exactly every world empire that would come. And here's the terrifying part. The final piece of this prophecy is happening right now, right in front of us, and 99% of people don't even notice. If you want to understand what Daniel saw millennia ago and how it connects to what's going down in the world today, stick around till the end. What you're about to discover will completely change how you see the news. Daniel wasn't some crazy visionary. He was a Hebrew noble kidnapped from his land and taken to Babylon in 605 BC. Lost everything: family, status, freedom. But there was something nobody could take from him: his unshakable faith. And here's what's even more bizarre. He lived to see exactly what he prophesied come true. Watched Babylon fall, watched Persia dominate, served kings from 2 different empires. The guy lived through his own prophecy. The visions he received weren't vague metaphors like horoscopes. They were detailed, precise, surgical. And the terrifying part is that much of what he predicted has already happened with frightening accuracy, which means the rest will happen too. Nebuchadnezzar, the most powerful king of his time, had a nightmare so vivid it robbed him of sleep. But when he woke up, couldn't remember the details. His magicians, astrologers, wise men, none of them could help. They couldn't even tell him what he dreamed, let alone interpret it. The king's solution? Death sentence for all of them. Typical absolute monarchy move. That's when Daniel steps in. He prays to God, gets the answer in a night vision, and walks into the throne room with something that should have been impossible to know. He describes the dream: a massive statue, head of pure gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet, here's where it gets weird, feet partly of iron and partly of clay. While the king stares at this thing, a stone cut without human hands smashes the statue's feet. The whole structure crumbles to dust. Wind carries it away. Nothing left. But the stone grows into a mountain that fills the entire earth. Daniel's interpretation laid out a sequence of world empires with surgical precision. The golden head was Babylon itself, Nebuchadnezzar's empire. The chest and arms of silver, the Medo-Persian Empire that would conquer Babylon in 539 BC. It happened exactly as predicted. The bronze belly and thighs represented Greece under Alexander the Great, who swept across the known world with unprecedented speed. The iron legs, the Roman Empire, crushing everything in its path with military might that lasted centuries. But check this out. The feet and toes of iron mixed with clay represent a final, divided kingdom. Partly strong, partly brittle. Attempts to unite through alliances and treaties, but ultimately failing to stick together. Just like iron doesn't mix with clay. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what we're seeing today. Daniel. Chapter 7 shows the same empires, but from a different angle. 4 beasts rising from a chaotic sea. This time, it's God's perspective, and he sees them as predatory, destructive forces. First beast, a lion with eagle's wings. Babylon, majestic but brutal. Second beast, a lopsided bear with 3 ribs in its mouth. Medo-Persia, with its voracious appetite for conquest. Third beast, a leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads. Greece under Alexander, whose empire split into 4 kingdoms after his death. But the fourth beast? That's where things get chilling. Daniel describes it as dreadful and terrifying and extremely strong. It had iron teeth, devoured everything, and trampled what remained. Rome. But here's the kicker. This beast had 10 horns. And then a little horn emerges among them, pulling out 3 of the first horns. This little horn had eyes like a man and a mouth speaking great boasts. It would blaspheme God, persecute believers, and try to change times and laws. Most end times, scholars identify this little horn as the Antichrist, a future global ruler who will emerge in the final days. The 10 horns? A confederation of 10 nations or leaders forming a final global power structure. Now we get to Daniel chapter 9, arguably the most precise prophetic timeline in the entire Bible. Gabriel the angel tells Daniel, 70 weeks have been decreed for your people and your holy city. The Hebrew word for weeks here means weeks of years. So we're talking 490 years total, broken into 3 segments. First segment, 7 weeks, 49 years, for rebuilding Jerusalem. Started with the decree of Artaxerxes in 444 BC. Second segment, 62 weeks, 434 years, totaling 69 weeks, or 483 years. Gabriel says after these 69 weeks, the Messiah will be cut off and have nothing. Do the math. 483 prophetic years from 444 BC brings us to around 33 AD, the exact time of Jesus' crucifixion. The phrase cut off refers to his death. This prophecy predicted the timing of Christ's first coming with mathematical precision. But here's where it gets relevant for us today. There's 1 week left, the 70th week, 7 years. After the 69 weeks, Gabriel says, the people of the prince who is to come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. That happened in 70 AD when Rome destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. The prince who is to come, identified by his people, the Romans, who destroyed Jerusalem, is widely understood to be the Antichrist. The prophecy says this prince will make a firm covenant with Israel for 1 week, 7 years. But in the middle of the week, after 3.5 years, he'll break the covenant, stop the sacrifices in the rebuilt temple, and set up the abomination of desolation. This marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation, the most intense 3.5 years of suffering the world has ever seen. Daniel 11 and 12 dive deep into the final days. After detailing centuries of historical conflicts with frightening accuracy, the prophecy shifts to describe a future king who will do as he pleases. This figure will exalt himself above every god, speak blasphemies against the God of gods, and show no regard for any deity except himself. He'll honor a god of fortresses, military power, with gold, silver, and treasures. He'll conquer nations, divide land for profit, and engage in conflicts involving a king of the north and king of the south. His campaigns will be global, but his end will come in the beautiful land, Israel. Daniel 12 describes a time of distress such as never occurred since there was a nation, the Great Tribulation. But it also promises resurrection, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Daniel is told to seal up the book until the time of the end, when knowledge will increase and people will go to and fro. That phrase alone is haunting. Never in history has knowledge been so accessible. Never has travel been so commonplace. We can access information instantly from anywhere on Earth. We can fly to any country in hours. So how does all this connect to what's happening right now? First, globalism. The iron and clay feet. A powerful but inherently unstable final kingdom. Look around. We have the UN, the World Economic Forum, regional unions, global treaties, constant push for centralized authority to solve climate change, pandemics, economic crises. But just like iron doesn't mix with clay, these attempts keep fracturing due to nationalism, cultural clashes, ideological divides. Second, technology. For the Antichrist to control global commerce, he needs infrastructure, digital currencies, biometric ID, global surveillance, interconnected systems. The ability to control who can buy or sell, once science fiction, now entirely plausible. The technological capacity for a global dictator has never been greater. Third, Israel. The re-establishment of Israel in 1948 after 2,000 years is massive. The ongoing conflicts, the status of Jerusalem, the tension around the Temple Mount, all directly relevant to Daniel's timeline. Religious groups are actively preparing to rebuild the Third Temple. The prophecy requires a functioning temple for sacrifices to be stopped. Fourth, spiritual decline. Rise of secularism, rejection of absolute truth, growing hostility toward biblical faith. The erosion of moral foundations creates fertile ground for someone who claims ultimate authority and demands worship. Fifth, Middle East conflicts. Daniel 11's King of the North and King of the South engaging in proxy wars. The Antichrist's final end in the beautiful land. Israel remains the epicenter of global tension, exactly as prophesied. The convergence isn't coincidental. Globalism, technology, geopolitical shifts around Israel, spiritual confusion, they're all pieces of a puzzle coming together with increasing speed. Daniel's prophecies aren't ancient history. They're a direct message to us today, a call to vigilance, to discernment, to preparedness. The accuracy of Daniel's predictions about past empires and the exact timing of Christ's first coming gives us absolute confidence that the future prophecies will unfold with equal precision. The iron and clay feet are forming. The stage is set for the Prince who is to come. The prophetic clock is ticking toward that final 70th week. But here's the hope. Daniel's prophecies ultimately culminate in the triumph of the Son of Man, whose everlasting kingdom will crush all human empires and fill the earth. This knowledge isn't given for fear. It's for discernment, preparedness, and hope. If this resonates with you, drop a like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more deep dives into prophetic scripture. Comment below what stood out to you most. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay anchored in the Word.